There's a truth many people find hard to accept. Not everyone will treat you with respect, but that doesn't always say something about you. Often, it reveals more about them, their beliefs, their insecurities, their background, their fears. What really defines you is how you respond in those situations. So let's talk about how to handle people who don't respect you. When someone treats you badly, it's natural to want to react. You may feel tempted to defend yourself, raise your voice, or show them they're wrong. But reacting without thinking hands your power over to them. You let their behavior control your actions, and in doing so, you lose not to them, but to yourself. Choosing not to react right away is harder. It takes discipline. It takes strength. It means holding on to your values no matter how others behave. Staying true to your values means deciding what kind of person you want to be, even when others make it difficult. It means not letting someone's disrespect change who you are. When you know what you stand for, kindness, honesty, patience, and courage, you become harder to shake. You stop reacting to every situation. You stop letting other people's negativity pull you down. You become someone who doesn't just speak about character, you show it. Your values become your guide. They help you decide what to do when someone insults you, tries to put you down, or treats you unfairly. They remind you that you don't need to fight on their level. You can choose to respond in a way that matches your standards, not theirs. Staying true to yourself doesn't mean allowing bad behavior. It means choosing a reaction that respects who you are. When someone tries to lower your energy with their actions, choosing not to mirror them is strength. You're saying, I won't become like you just to feel like I've won. Because winning that kind of moment means very little if you've had to sacrifice your peace or lose sight of who you are. Getting into arguments just to make a point often takes you away from your own growth. It's not worth it. Let's be real, it's painful when someone talks badly about you in public, lies about you, or makes fun of you. It hurts. You may want to get even. You may feel like you need to speak up and prove something. But here's what matters. Your actions speak louder than your words. When you live with honesty and strength, you don't have to explain who you are to anyone. When you stay grounded, your life becomes the answer to every insult or doubt. Disrespect is a test. It shows what you really think about yourself. Do you feel you have to fight just to be taken seriously? Or do you believe that respecting yourself is already enough? Because once you truly respect yourself, you stop depending on other people's opinions to feel good about who you are. You no longer need their approval. You don't even need them to understand your side. All you need is the ability to look at yourself and know that you didn't break your values just to please someone. Each time you stay calm instead of lashing out, you build something important: trust, credibility, and presence. People begin to notice not just what you say, but the strength it takes to say it in a respectful way. Real leadership doesn't shout. It doesn't demand to be seen. It earns respect by standing strong in its own truth. The next time someone disrespects you, pause, take a breath, remind yourself of your values. Let your answer come from a calm place, not from your pain. Their behavior shows their character. Yours shows in how you handle the moment. You don't need to fight every battle. You don't need to prove yourself in every conversation. But you do need to guard your values. When the world around you feels unstable, your values become your foundation. If you hold on to them, even the most disrespectful person can't knock you off balance. Learning how to create healthy boundaries is one of the most important things you can do for your peace of mind, self-respect, and personal growth. It may sound simple, but it's not always easy. It takes self-awareness, it takes courage, and it takes regular practice. Boundaries don't mean shutting people out. They mean protecting what matters inside. They give you the space to be your best, most honest self. Without clear limits, people may take advantage, not necessarily because they're bad, but because people often test how far they can go. If you don't have clear boundaries, people won't know what they are. Sometimes even you may not be sure. That's why setting boundaries starts with understanding what you can handle and what you can't. Think about the behaviors that drain you. Notice which situations make you feel small or disrespected. You don't need to explain these feelings to anyone. You just need to accept them for yourself. Once you know your limits, the next step is to communicate them clearly. This is where many people struggle. We worry we'll be seen as rude or selfish, but setting a boundary doesn't mean being unkind. It means being honest. Being clear is actually one of the kindest things you can do. When you say things like, "I'm not okay with that," or "I need space to think before I respond," you're not being harsh, you're being honest. If you communicate your boundaries calmly and clearly, you usually won't have to repeat yourself. The people who care about you will listen, the people who don't will resist. And that resistance tells you something important. Boundaries help you figure out who deserves a place in your life and how much of a place they deserve. They separate the people who value you as a person from those who only care about what they can get from you. Not everyone should have access to your time, your mind, or your feelings. Boundaries help you control who and what you let into your space. Just like locking your door doesn't mean you dislike people, it means you value your home. The same idea applies to your inner life. But boundaries only work if you stick to them. Saying no once is easy. Saying it over and over when someone keeps pushing back, that's the real challenge. You need to stay consistent. Each time you give in out of guilt or fear, you send a message that your boundaries are flexible. And soon, you'll find yourself right back in the exhausting situations you were trying to leave behind. Boundaries are promises you make to yourself, and every time you keep that promise, your self-trust gets stronger. Sometimes setting limits will upset other people. That's okay. You're not responsible for managing how others feel. You're responsible for taking care of yourself. People who genuinely care about you will understand and even appreciate your boundaries. They'll see your honesty as a sign of maturity. The people who don't understand are showing you that they care more about their own comfort than your peace. Let that teach you something. Don't let it change your limits. Boundaries are not a sign of selfishness. They are a form of self-respect. They protect your energy, your attention, your priorities, and your heart. Without them, you may feel constantly overwhelmed or unnoticed. But with them, you make space for stronger relationships, more focus, and greater happiness. You're not here to make everyone happy. You're here to live a life that stays true to your values. The only way to do that is to set and keep your boundaries. Not with anger, but with care for yourself. You deserve that. Your life is far too valuable to be shaped by the expectations of others. It's easy to take disrespect personally. When someone treats you poorly, it can feel like something is wrong with you. You might ask yourself, did I make a mistake? Your mind starts to play back every conversation, every choice. You think maybe you caused it somehow. That's where a lot of people get stuck. They start to believe that someone else's unkindness means they're not good enough. They begin to question their worth. But someone else's bad behavior doesn't say anything about your value. It says a lot about their mindset, their struggles, and their inability to treat others well. Your worth isn't decided by people who don't know how to respect it. But that's not true. The truth is, how someone treats you usually has more to do with them than with you. It often comes from their own thoughts, fears, emotional pain, or personal history. When people are rude, disrespectful, or full of anger, they often reveal something broken inside themselves. If you're not paying attention, you might take those broken parts and carry them as if they belong to you. Taking someone else's bad behavior personally is like drinking something toxic and hoping to feel healthy. It doesn't make you stronger. It makes you confused and tired. It makes you question your own value, and little by little, it weakens your confidence. You start entering places wondering if you truly belong there. You overthink everything, your voice, your words, your actions, trying not to be hurt again. But no matter how careful or kind you are, people who are set on judging or mistreating you will keep doing it. Not because you did something wrong, but because that's who they are. You are not to blame for someone else's emotional reactions or lack of maturity. You didn't cause their rough day, their unhealthy habits, or their negative outlook. Sometimes your strength, kindness, or firm limits might remind them of something they struggle with. Even then, how they choose to react is their responsibility, not yours. You can't constantly change your behavior to protect others from their own feeling. That's not being wise. That's losing yourself. It's important to create a gap between who you are and how someone else acts. That gap is called perspective. It helps you see what's happening without letting it affect how you feel inside. It gives you the chance to say, this doesn't belong to me. The more you practice this, the more calm you will feel. You'll start to notice when people are throwing their problems at you. You'll see the same patterns. How people who don't respect themselves often don't respect others. And how people who feel weak may try to control or insult others to feel strong. You'll begin to realize that their behavior says more about them than it does about you. This doesn't mean you allow bad behavior. It means you don't let it shape your identity. You still speak up, you still draw the line, but you don't let it get deep into who you are. You don't allow someone's harshness or bad mood to become part of your self-image. That's the key difference. When you stop taking things personally, you begin to live from a place of self-belief instead of fear. You act based on your values, not in reaction to someone else's issue. And here's something really important. When you stop absorbing other people's disrespect, everything becomes clearer. You no longer waste time trying to understand confusing behavior. You don't keep reading between the lines or overthinking jokes or silence. You recognize it for what it is, disrespect, and you make a choice about how to handle it without questioning your own worth. You don't need to convince people of your value if they've already decided not to see it. You don't need to change yourself just to fit into someone's comfort zone. You only need to stay true to who you are and stop shrinking just because someone else can't see your worth. Let others carry their own problems. Let them handle their own feelings. You are not a place for others to dump their stress. You are not their emotional sponge. You are not their target. You are a complete human being whose worth does not go up or down based on how someone treats you. The moment you stop accepting pain that isn't yours is the moment you start living with true freedom. You no longer try to fix others, and you stop constantly doubting yourself. You begin to stand strong with confidence, self-respect, and peace. Empathy is one of the most powerful qualities a person can have. It allows you to see beyond someone's actions and into what they might be going through. It helps you try to understand what someone else may be feeling, even if they act in a way that hurts. When someone disrespects you, empathy helps you step back and ask, what might they be going through that's causing this behavior? That shift in thinking can change everything. It helps you respond calmly instead of with anger. It can turn a fight into a chance to understand. Often, it keeps your heart open when it's tempted to close. But empathy alone isn't enough. Empathy without limits turns into being too trusting. It can change your kindness into accepting bad behavior. When you show empathy but don't protect yourself, you open the door to hurt in the name of being caring. Some people will use your empathy against you. They see that you care, that you try to understand people, and they take advantage of that. They push to see what you'll put up with. They break your boundaries and expect you to forgive them over and over. They act badly and make excuses. If you're not careful, you'll keep giving them chance after chance, even though they never learn from the first one. That's why your empathy must be mixed with wisdom. You can see someone's pain without excusing how they treat you. You can care about their struggles without letting them rewrite your own story. You can say, I get where you're coming from, but it still doesn't make how you treated me okay. That's what it means to lead with empathy while staying clear-headed. It means understanding others while still making sure they're held responsible for their actions. Being kind doesn't mean becoming small just so others feel comfortable. It doesn't mean accepting rude behavior just because someone had a rough life. It doesn't mean taking in someone else's anger or changing your behavior just to avoid upsetting them. True empathy never asks you to make those sacrifices. You can love someone and still decide to leave. You can care and still take space for yourself. You can understand why someone behaves a certain way and still know it's not something you'll accept. That's what it means to grow. That's what leadership looks like. That's what having respect for yourself means. Real empathy also requires being honest with yourself and with others. Sometimes we use empathy as an excuse to avoid tough decisions. We say, they didn't mean it, or they're just having a hard time. Maybe that's true. But that doesn't mean it's okay for them to keep hurting you. You have to look at patterns, not just apologies. Pay attention to what they do, not only what they say. Their pain might explain their actions, but it doesn't remove the harm those actions caused you. When you lead with empathy, you don't throw people away for one mistake, but you also don't allow them to stay in your life without change. You approach problems with a kind heart, but you don't forget your standards. You show grace, but you don't offer unlimited chances. You realize that two things can happen at once, or someone can be hurting and also be hurting you. Understanding that balance helps you protect your heart without turning cold. You're not weak because you feel things deeply. You're not silly for wanting to believe in others. But it is your job to protect your peace. That means using empathy in a smart way. That means being kind, not careless. That means knowing when to open your heart and when to walk away. In the end, leading with empathy but staying wise is a real kind of strength. It means you choose to see the good in people, but you don't lose yourself trying to save them. It means you stay kind, but not blind. You stay open, but aware. It means you move with love, but also with clear thinking and the courage to know when you've had enough. Walking away can be one of the hardest decisions you'll make, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply. You care about the bond, about being understood, about giving someone the benefit of the doubt. That's what makes leaving so hard. But sometimes it's also the most powerful decision you can make, not from anger, not from hate, but from respect for yourself. When someone repeatedly disrespects you, ignores the lines you set, or shows by their actions that they don't value your presence, the strongest thing you can do is take a step back, not to hurt them, but to keep yourself safe. Your calm mind, your sense of worth, your ability to think clearly, these things matter too much to keep giving to someone who doesn't honor them. People often think walking away means giving up, but really, it's the opposite. It means you're giving up on trying to change someone who has no real interest in changing. It means you're giving up the idea that love means suffering. It means you're no longer willing to accept disrespect as the price of connection. The bigger person walking away is not giving up. It's about making a choice. Choosing calm instead of conflict, understanding over confusion, and self-worth instead of always needing to explain. But just as important as walking away is how you choose to do it. You don't need to slam any doors behind you. There's no need to make an announcement or cause a scene. True dignity is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't go after revenge. It simply says, "This is not where I belong," and then keeps going. You don't have to make them understand your value right away. Sometimes they won't notice it until long after you're gone. But even then, it's not your duty to make them see it. What you are responsible for is respecting yourself enough to stop chasing peace from those who have no intention of truly hearing you. Walking away with your head held high means leaving without losing who you are. It means you choose not to stoop to their level of disrespect. You don't have to say every thought that crosses your mind. You don't have to win the argument or prove anything. The truth is, most people don't listen unless they're ready to. So say what truly needs to be said, clearly, calmly, and without hate. And then walk away, not for their benefit, but for your own peace. There is real strength in not turning back. There is strength in not replying to the taunts. There is power in continuing forward without waiting for someone to clap for you, because deep down you understand that your quiet says more than any speech could. It says, I know my value, and I refuse to stay where I am not respected. There are people who will try to drag you into a fight even as you're walking away. They'll want one more argument, one last comment, one more chance to pull you back into their mess. Don't take the bait. The very moment you choose to leave with grace, you take your strength with you. That's what dignity looks like. That's what maturity feels like. That's what real leadership means. Not everyone deserves to have access to you. Some people were simply meant to teach you something, not walk with you forever. Not all chapters are supposed to go on forever. And that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign of your growth. You've grown past the mess. You've grown past the repeated patterns. You've moved beyond the need to convince people of your worth when they never truly saw you clearly to begin with. And if walking away hurts, let it hurt. Let that pain remind you that you showed up with good intentions and an open heart. But don't let the pain fool you into staying somewhere that doesn't lift you up anymore. Feel it, mourn it, and then rise. Because when you choose to walk away with your self-respect intact, you're not just walking away from being treated poorly, you're taking your energy back. You're reclaiming your strength and stepping into a life where you are no longer questioned but honored.